welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Voodoo Val, and I am back with Cory Hall.
Hello, everyone, again.
Yeah, this is like a day of hanging out with us, really, today.
Yeah, we've been jamming all morning.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing some carousels, some Instagram carousels today. We're going to be doing some branding identity in Adobe Express. It should be pretty fabulous. But why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you, though, for those who are unfamiliar, and then a little bit about our project.
Yes, thank you for the intro.
You're
Hello
welcome.
to everyone in the chat. Thank you for hanging out with us today. If you've been with us all morning, we've had a great time. My name is Cory Hall. I am a senior graphic designer. I am from the Bay Area. We're streaming here from the studio in San Francisco, but I currently live in Portland, Oregon. I work full-time as a graphic designer for Stanford University, but I also do a lot of freelance stuff, and I love doing these Adobe live streams with you. And so today we're going to be playing around a little bit in Adobe Illustrator. We're going to be making some branded assets. We're just going to be having some fun with Illustrator, playing around with some things, some typography, some little graphic elements, and then we're going to be bringing them over into Adobe Express. And I personally use Express to create Instagram carousels. That's where I have a lot of fun. And so I personally, in my free time, love to do a lot of photography with my friends. So when I'm hanging out with my friends, I break out my film camera, I take photos, and then I bring them over into Express where I have templates, and I drop the photographs into the Express templates that I've created, and then create these kind of like branded Instagram carousel template experiences. So I have a lot of fun with it. We're gonna just kind of play around with it today. And just sort of see what we come up with.
Yeah.
I'll sort of walk you guys through my workflow a little bit, and I'll show you some like past carousels that will serve as inspiration for these carousels that we're going to create here and now today. So we are just gonna kind of like, we're just playing around. We're gonna see what we come up with in Illustrator, and
you have like you said, you had like some other pieces that we could like check out and look at. And if you guys are not following, I have to say, if you guys are not following Cory on Instagram, you really should be, because I think that is like a great place where you can go and like check out some of the like previous carousels and things that you would be making in Express and like throwing into Instagram. And they're very emotional.
Yeah,
I think,
thank
you. They're very emotional in the best way possible.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they mean a lot to me. They're really fun to create, and I love hearing when other people connect with them too. So let me show you a couple of these carousels. I like to make them of like weekends, like I mentioned in my travels. So we've got like different sort of graphic.
Such a good just like bold impact. I'm sorry. Continue.
No, that's
Continue,
okay.
Cory.
That's okay. Thank you. And I like call them design diaries, but they're just like sort of like graphics mixed with photos, mixed with typography, and you'll see that this sort of like layout lends itself really well to templates within Express.
Yeah.
And so, like I mentioned, I've created these sort of templates in Express that are sort of based around these different types of layouts that I like to play around with. And again, just sort of like flipping through the carousels, flipping through different like typographic inspirations. We'll probably come back to a couple of these throughout the stream just to like, I don't know, give us a little bit of inspiration for what we want to play around with. But yeah, so these are sort of the carousels. Let me pop on over to Adobe Express right now. And I'm gonna go up into my stuff. So over here, if I go to my stuff on the left-hand side, we've got files, brands, and libraries. So in brands, what I've done is I've created sort of a Cory's personal brand.
Yeah.
And I use this term brand really loosely because it's constantly evolving. It's always shifting. I'm not like very strict with it. I just kind of like to have fun with it. But I find calling it a brand and Express to be really helpful because then I can call it up really easily when I'm working on new projects. So like I've got my sort of evolving color palette. I've got different fonts that I really like to use. I'm a big fan of sort of like more of a scripty typeface. I really love New Spirit as a typeface. I do Nimbus Sans a lot. And then some like slight recurring graphics that I've uploaded in from Illustrator, as well as some textures that I like to drop into the background.
I love that. So you're using it as like almost like a libraries 2.0.
Yes.
Like so that it's like easily accessible because Express does say, hey, what about your brand?
Yes.
You know, and it always goes to that. And I also love that it's, because you said you use it loosely because you have so many different things that you do. And you really do have like this really broad range, honestly. And I think that's really cool that it becomes like a collection for like, what mood am I into today?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, as I kind of evolve and work through Express, what I sort of find myself doing is I'll create like different evolutions of the brand. So like maybe the summer brand, Cory's Personal like summer brand, might be a little bit brighter and cheerier, might have different colors, but as we go into fall, I'm gonna like start to tone it down and make it a little bit more moody. And so I just find Express a really great place to kind of like a repository / like toolkit where I can keep all of these different pieces.
I love it.
So let's get designing. So part of this sort of Cory's Personal brand within Express, there's this template that I've created which is based on an old carousel that I did. So if I click on this, this template, which is an original carousel that I like then turned into a template, I'm gonna click Start a New File. And it's essentially copying this template and turning it into a new file. We're gonna give it just a moment.
I love
while it warms up.
The preview, by the way. It was just like really great. And I love that you have like, you use a lot of colors that I myself would never think to use or use together, but somehow you make it work. And it just like, I admire you so much as far as just like your understanding of what color could become.
Yeah.
For a mood and all that kind of stuff. Like you've got like these really, like I would never think to use like the neon green, but I've seen you like totally impress and wow with a neon green. And I'm like, one of these days I'm gonna try and do that.
Well, you know what's funny too is like I find myself using colors that I like wouldn't have thought to use a while ago, but like I'm like, okay, this is missing something, it needs a pop of something. And so then I pulled in a neon green a little while ago. Normally I'm like, neons are not like my thing. Like I wouldn't normally gravitate towards a neon. Lisa in the chat says, I can see Cory's tee looks like his brand. Yeah, I actually kind of was thinking about this in terms of like the colors and the black and the typography.
We're also matching, both of us are kind of matching with your piece here today.
We are.
This is kind of cool.
You're blending in like earthier tones and like the warm reds and the blacks. And then I've got like the typography and the red pop.
Yes, indeed. I love it. I'm the script font today is what I am.
You are the script font. And I'm the very like Swedish,
yes.
I don't know, Swedish kind of style. So this is a template, like I mentioned, based on an old carousel that I made. It's got a lot of elements in it already, and this is sort of part of my workflow that I like to work through is I'll take something that I've done before and then I'll drop in new photography, I'll drop in new images, I'll change the typography, and so that's kind of what we're gonna start off with today. So we'll start with the beginning. I am going to just sort of start switching in new photography right now. So I've got all these different elements, and so what I'm gonna do is I've got this photograph. This is like a photo series from a trip that I took to Portugal earlier this year. I am going to go up here to this sort of top left corner, and I'm gonna hit replace, upload from device, and let's see, we're gonna go into photos.
Also, Jerry, everybody's kind of raving about your Instagram right now. Jerry says, I love his Instagram. I believe we had Lisa earlier saying, oh my gosh, this Instagram is great. So everyone's kind of like checked out the Instagram. As I told you guys, it's a great place to be. Lots of really great inspiration, honestly, there. And it's got like definitely an aesthetic, but like I said, like I feel like I go and I take a peek at Cory's work and I find so many great ideas and like inspiring moments that was like, what if I tried a font like that or a color like that or something? So it's a good place to be. You're welcome, Cory.
That means so much. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I like to have a lot of fun with it. Something that I'm thinking too that we might do today is once I sort of build this out as an Instagram carousel, what I will probably end up doing too is going in and resizing it, adding a little bit of animation. Yes. You and Andrew in your streams today with your animation inspired me.
We were like, yeah.
You guys were like really going for it, and so now I'm kind of like, okay, I want to play around with some animation too.
You should, yeah, let's do it. Roxanne also ditto Jerry on the love Cory's Instagram. This is a trend that I'm loving to see in the chat.
Okay, so Roxanne is my aunt. Hi, Roxy.
Hi, Roxy. Hi, Aunt Roxy.
She's joining us from Cardiff, Wales right now,
really?
all the way in the UK. It's like, what, 7 p.m. there, I think? I don't know, Roxy, tell us what time it is. And everyone in the chat, I'm curious to hear where you're joining from.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love how Voodoo Val is
a lot in Cory's Insta. That's the first thing I do when I wake up.
What they're saying, it's our like streams.
Because we stream together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go and check what he's doing all the time, and we do every week, if possible, Cory and I do like a live stream together on our Instagram accounts where we just like chit chat and hang out. Like basically what we're doing right now, except we're not working at the same time. We like just talk and chit chat about stuff. So yeah, you guys should definitely come hang out. Definitely give Cory a follow for more of this stuff. And I think that it's going to be really interesting to see like what you do by way of like animation too for this, because there is so much, which you guys will see if you check it out, is like there's a lot of like your style has an element of whimsy, totally.
Ooh,
like
I love that word.
Like, it's such a good word. It's definitely a good word, but it has like a little bit of whimsy, but it also isn't shy. You know what I mean?
Okay. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. That means a lot, because I like don't want I like want it to be kind of like bold and sort of like pushing a little bit, but like still comfortable and fun.
So there's a lot of like gesture and movement that would fit. You have like a very wide range of things that would still feel like this belongs here when it comes to actually moving things around on the canvas. So
Cool.
I'm excited to see like, you know, what we might do.
So I'm just kind of like changing the typography. I added a couple of new photos in here. So, you know, switching it over because this is a template and I started a new file out of this. I'm not risking losing the original carousel that I created. Instead, we're just going in and let's see. I mean, I might kind of play, you know what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna drop in just all of my new images.
I liked that alteration of the layout for that first one too, by the way, but I mean,
yeah.
I'm a fan. I'm biased. I am a Cory fan. Also, we got Jermaine saying he's from Rochester, New York. Roxanne's saying it's 8:10 p.m. here. Oh, wow.
Wow, okay. So it's late.
Yeah. We've got Mwenda in the chat. Good to see you, Mwenda. Luciano from Brazil. Joshua's in San Francisco.
Oh, cool. Hey,
Nice.
Joshua. Where in SF are you joining us from? What neighborhood are you in?
Alessandra is saying in Boston, and I have family in Portugal and France. Wow. Nice.
That's so cool.
I have family in California and California and California.
Same. All
Yeah.
California. Maybe like a little
California.
sprinkling of Oregon in there.
Maybe,
but,
maybe the border of Nevada.
But nope. Otherwise, yep, just California.
Hey.
We're Cali girls through and through.
Yes, indeed. Alessandra's 3:12 p.m. Oh yeah, it's like just after noon for us. On the West Coast over here.
Well, and you know, what I think is kind of cool about using these templates is, for me, it takes some of the mental work out of needing to come out with a new layout every single time.
Yes.
And so, like, I think that's where Express comes in really handy, is it sort of takes some of the mental lift out of making something completely from scratch. And that's like where the branded elements come in, because it just like, it makes it a little bit faster, it makes it a little bit more fun, and then because I've got the layout sort of pre-established, I can then just go in and like play with the colors, play with the typography, change the layout just ever so slightly, but I'm not starting from a brand new place every single time.
It's almost like using the templates really helps you conserve that powerful creative energy, right? You're not spending the time on those things, and so that passion and that excitement to like, oh, I'm gonna create something, it doesn't like tucker out as early when you don't have to like start from a blank canvas. And I've gotten really good, I think, at starting from blank canvas because it wasn't, you know, the templates wasn't, you know, available to me for a long time. But now that I have them, I find that I'm kicking out more designs than ever because I have a place to start and I can make my own stuff, you know, so I don't have to use only the templates available. I can make my own templates for me and put it in my brand like you have in your brand. So definitely recommend testing out that workflow. I think it works wonders for us all. So Joshua's saying, by the way, I'm in San Mateo. I was just in San Mateo yesterday.
Oh my God, and you went through that crazy drive-through thing, huh?
I know, I did.
Wild.
Yep, it was pretty fun.
Okay, so I'm just about done replacing these images. And this is just like silly film photos that I took with a bunch of friends. And then we're gonna kind of go through and start adding some different elements. We're gonna go over to Illustrator, maybe create a couple of new elements, and then we're gonna bring them into the library, the CC library, and start adding some new stuff.
I love like you create carousels like faster than I do as well, and I think that's something really to aspire to. And you do have the template like kind of sorted out so that you can go through it. But I think that it's inspiring to see like how you're like, okay, maybe this one, maybe, and then I'm not going to focus on moving things around. I'm just going to throw the photos in so that looks different and feels different, and then you kind of like systematically go through it. And that's something I'd like to try too, and maybe folks at home would also be interested in testing that out if they're not doing it that way already, because I've noticed that like you're not going in and spending forever on each individual page until it's perfect. You go through and systematically change small elements that make it feel totally different than before. So now you're in a completely new project and you can like more easily go through and, at least to me from, watching, more easily go through and alter it, which I think is great.
So these are actually old elements that I have since deleted, so I'm gonna delete those empty boxes. So what's cool is if we are looking, so if we're over in Express, and I go over to my stuff and I've got brands and libraries, then you can see I'm within Cory's personal brand. So this is where all of my colors are appearing, this is where the graphics are appearing, and then because I'm in Express, this is where the template is appearing as well. If I go over to Illustrator and I'm in my libraries panel, I can also go into Cory's personal brand, and I've got those same colors and those same graphics in there, and there even is the template.
It's grayed out. I don't know if you can actually access anything. I've never tried.
I'm guessing that's what that means. But what's really cool is, like, for instance, I created this sort of like CAH little stamp. If I were to like delete this from my library, the way that this will work, and if I give this a second or a refresh, this is going to disappear from over here in the graphics panel. But what I can do is this is just sort of like a knocked out little logo. I'm going to hit this little plus icon, and I'm going to I could either take the fill color from it and add it into the library. The color's already in there though, so I'm going to hit graphic, and it's going to add that in there.
Perfect.
And then you can see it's disappeared from in here in Express because I deleted it from the library, and we're gonna give it a sec, and then boom. Now it's back in there.
Perfect.
So now I can take that and click it, and it appears as a little graphic within my carousel. So now I have this like sort of at my fingertips. I could have also copied and pasted it, but this is nice because it keeps it in the library, keeps it accessible for when I'm working on other projects as well. And I really just kind of like this as like subtly placed somewhere.
I think I'm blocking it. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Can I this way?
So I just like kind of keep that as a subtle little element in there. And I don't know, I mean, I'm kind of thinking because this is like a film project in terms of other like elements that I might want to add in here. Maybe like camera flashes.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go over to my star tool. And this is like a funny little hack that I've learned. So if we open up the star tool, oh my gosh, I do struggle with this sometimes. If I hit the shift key and the option key and the up and down arrow, it will change the number of points on my star.
Beautiful. Oh, I love it.
And then if I'm still holding down my mouse, but if I hold the command key, it will allow me to go in and like change the length of these different points. So I can change the number of points, and because I kind of like the concept of like camera flash, I'm gonna go and like make these kind of big and pointy.
That is super
as if it's
cool.
a camera flash. And I like that. I like an outline moment too, so I'm gonna switch this around, knock it out, and give it sort of an outline.
It would be cool to like overlap some of them too. Like if there was like, like color combos so that there's like, like a darker one behind and then a lighter one like quarter turned kind of, so they flash in between each other.
That could be like cool potential for an animation too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I am dragging those into...
Just like as a quick note, there is a flicker animation on there, so you can have something like literally flash and burst. So definitely, maybe we'll try that out.
So we're experimenting with those. I think something else that I've got in these carousels too that I liked is I have these little like number markers so that I can then like call out, what are they called in books? Like footnotes, essentially.
Yeah.
So I'm like footnoting them in the carousel so that I can like, this photo is really quite small. And so I think what I'm gonna do here is do something really similar. And I'm gonna make these little, little boxes, and I'm gonna put numbers in them and just use them as footnotes. And I could do this in, Express, but because I'm working with such like small elements, it would be like really, really pretty small in Express.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier for me to do here in Illustrator and then just like add in.
I don't usually do tiny elements in Adobe Express. I typically make it part of a design, a larger overarching design that I can bring in and stuff, because I like zooming in and like grabbing. I'm used to the way that you can edit elements in Illustrator or in Photoshop, and it's very, very similar in Express but slightly different. And I find that because I'm more used to that, I don't like to do the little tiny details for it. But I mean, find your own personal workflow for that, you know?
Yeah, we're all about creating our own workflows that work well for each of us.
Yeah.
And that's what's kind of great about all these tools is you can figure out sort of like what works best for you and your workflow. And like, you know, like I mentioned, this isn't like a super hard, strict brand that I'm making, but I'm calling it a brand within Express just because it kind of keeps everything contained and like in one place for me so that I know where to find it whenever I'm making stuff. So...
The color selection is awesome. I agree, Mwenda. I think that it is a fabulous color palette. I know that we're both biased in that because we were both wearing like black and orange and tan, and like we're both interested in that for sure. But
we do like very clearly like this.
Yes, it is a mood for sure.
So that's really cool. So what I did is I just created this in Illustrator. And then I was able to drop it into my library, and then it pretty much instantly appears in Express.
Nice.
And so I'm gonna drop the rest of these in here, and I'm also gonna outline this text just to make it a little bit, feels a little bit cleaner. So I'm doing Command-Shift-O to outline it so that it becomes a vector.
Okay.
Just because I'm worried about it scaling, I'm worried about it like not linking properly, and so I'm gonna just like vectorize it before I drop it into my library, dropping each one individually because I want them each to be their own individual element.
Yes. I've seen people that like drop a bunch of stuff in like a sticker sheet kind of, and then just like keep duplicating it and cropping it differently as they go through. Which is like pretty cool. I think there's a lot of really interesting workflows there, but I personally, sometimes I do that, but most of the time I do it like you do here, where I can just like grab, you know, and kind of do my own thing.
Okay, I'm just gonna sort of start placing these numbers.
We are a brand concept. We are, Lisa. We are. Cory and I both.
I like that. I mean, I feel like being a brand concept is cool. It gives you a lot of room for flexibility.
We could also be fonts. I think you are autumn modern.
Yeah.
And I could be.
I think I'm like I'm definitely a sans serif, and I feel like you're a serif.
I think I'm a
Does
serif.
that feel accurate?
I think that I am a serif, yeah.
Okay.
I think for sure.
Well, because like, especially just based off of your outfit right now, like you've got like the ornamentation, you've got the colors, you've got like the shapes.
Wingdings, kind of.
You're giving wingdings.
My font has glyphs, for sure.
Yeah.
That don't offer anything to the overarching value of the font. They're just there.
Well, they offer value in their ornamentational style and their decoration. Okay, we're gonna just finish up.
I've never been described so sweetly as a font before. Thank you, Cory.
Of course. Of course. I don't ever want to make you feel any other type of way.
Yeah, Cory won't have it if I say that my glyphs are useless. He won't have it.
Okay, we're almost done. Just adding these little elements in here.
I'll never be a serif. Oh, Wade. You can be a serif if you want to, buddy.
You can be whatever you want to be. Okay, so I think we've got our carousel kind of built out nicely. Maybe let's try adding in some of those, like that flash element somewhere.
Mm.
And I think it could look good. I mean, would it be crazy to like multiply it somewhere?
Yeah, I love it. And it like kind of hangs off onto the, oh my gosh, yeah. Okay, I love that. Yeah. And then you could animate it to just go like flash and like tilt.
Let's just see what it'll look like.
Yeah. So it does have like, yeah, like a flicker.
Let's see.
But you can edit it, like.
Could edit the flicker.
Yeah, you can edit the flicker, I believe. So yeah, you can change the duration and the intensity of it. So if you want it to be a little slower and you don't want it to be as like,
oh, interesting.
See, that would be cool. Almost like a what is that called? Like the screen printing kind of stuff. Like you could take two colors and overlap them and not have the intensity like.
Oh, yeah.
Make them disappear completely, so there would be like a mixing of color almost with that, which would be really, really cool.
Okay. So I'm going to save the animation for when we make these. But that's good to know and good to sort of like have in the back pocket. I think I'm also going to...
So Wade says, I can be a serif if I really believe. Yes, indeed.
You can be whatever you want to be, Wade.
You can. I wonder how Cory makes it so cohesive, this from Lisa. It's funny you say that because that was a show that we had done previously where I was like, you know, like cohesive bodies of work. And I feel like you are very, very knowledgeable about that when it comes to like, how do I keep it all together and, you know.
You know what I just realized that I did by accident? Remember all of those empty squares that I deleted from my library? Those are my fonts. So I did accidentally delete all my fonts from my Cory's Creative personal brand.
Well,
That's
now
okay.
we can explore.
Yes.
Now we can explore for fonts.
Now we can explore. I've got some like favorites in here. We've got Nimbus Sans in here. And really, it's not that I deleted them from Express. I didn't delete them from my library. I just deleted them from personal brand. And so I still have access to all of them. I just like removed them from this, gosh, what was I think it was like Yale something was my script. Okay. Yeah, because I really like my script font. This tiny one is really fun. I like the tiny one. Okay, so that's good to know. So I'm gonna go back into my stuff. I'm gonna go back into my carousel. And I just think that we're missing like some kind of additional element in here. So I'm gonna add some typography. And just as like an accent text.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say because it's black on black, but we're gonna just do summer on film. Let me bring it up. So for just sort of like for your infos, you are able to access any Adobe font within Express. But if there are any fonts that you want that are not in Adobe fonts, you are still able to upload them.
Yeah.
So that's this font here that I'm playing with right now. So this is like a font called Tiny that I uploaded it in.
Oh, I love that.
I'm gonna change the color. And so again, this is sort of the benefit of having these like branded sort of like groups of elements and colors is it's really easily accessible to me right here. So I can just like, boom, change the color very quickly and easily.
I love that it's like, it says something, but it's also like a texture kind of.
Yeah.
In a way.
This one is like definitely one of my favorite fonts because it's subtle, it's saying something, but it also just like serves as like a graphic element.
Yeah.
So it's sort of serving this like dual purpose.
Yeah, I love that a lot.
But, you know, if we wanted to add a different typeface, like I can just show you really quickly how we do that. So if I go over to Font Book, which is sort of my like font container on my computer, I've got like other different fonts that I've either bought or downloaded before. Famously, I don't know if you remember this one.
Yes, I do, yeah.
This is a good one. But, you know, like say I want to try out Picnic regular. I can go into, let's see, how do I want to do this? I could go into my stuff. Brands and libraries, fonts. I'm going to add a font over here. And then I can go down here to upload. And then I'm going to go back to font book. I'm going to show in Finder. And here is my bloop. There's the font over here. And I can just drag the font in here. I'm going to click this button that shows that I have like the legal rights to use this font that I'm uploading. And then I can click add. And it's processing. Thinking.
Also, we've got Roxy in chat saying boo-boos can lead to the best creations, and that is absolutely true. It really is.
Funny way of saying that.
I know.
Thanks, Rox. Boo-boos can lead to the best creation. She's my aunt, so I'm allowed to laugh at that.
Okay.
Thanks. You're so right, Roxy. Yeah, they absolutely can. I think like in my design process, I found that like when I wasn't trying to make something is when I come up with like the coolest ideas.
Oh yeah.
If I'm like being super intentional, like it's good to be intentional about your designs, but like, you know, I made a mistake. It was an accident and all of a sudden I'm left with something that was like completely unexpected and really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to change the typeface here and I can go down and like scroll into my my fonts, and I can see my uploaded fonts. And so this is the one that I just uploaded.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, it's so fun.
Gosh, I'm like, maybe you can tell us a little bit, and I know that this isn't something you probably were prepared to go over for today, but like, where do you find your fonts? Because I feel like I don't know if it's that I don't know where to get fonts like this, or if I just like, don't have an eye for what this font could become. Because I would never think to use a font like this for a project like this, but it looks great now that you're showing it to me.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I completely hear you, and I think I feel the exact same way. For me, it's, I guess, just like throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Because I totally agree. When I'm like browsing through fonts, I'm kind of like, I don't see the potential of something.
Yeah.
Until you see it in context. And so maybe that's where it's helpful for me to like sort of have them sort of like at hand, easily accessible, sort of like here, right here on the side. And I'm like, okay, I wouldn't have thought to put this like weird, I don't even know what is going on with this, what to call this.
It's like whimsical, but it's also horror.
Yeah.
But it's also like an object. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. But I think that you have such a cool style that I think you trust a font out of context a lot more than I do. So you probably will go for things and be like, I'll find something for this. And I'm just like, where would I put you?
Yeah.
So maybe I just need to be a little more adventurous with my fonts.
I could definitely afford to be more adventurous too. It's definitely like, it's kind of scary for sure. But again, I'm just sort of like, we're just seeing what sticks here.
You know what vibe this one gives me? It gives me like the, almost like you've stamped like one of those carved stamps that people make in like erasers or something.
Yes.
Like you've just come in and like stamped it next to like a design element, like you said earlier. And I just love that vibe for this.
It does totally look like a design, or like a, I like how you said stamped in an eraser. That's exactly what it seems like.
Yeah.
But what are they called? I don't know what those things are called. You like carve them, kind of.
Yeah, but I've seen people like that. Like, there's a girl on Instagram where she is really, really good at carving them, and she just carves them into like the standard, like classic pink erasers, and she does like little stamps for stuff, which is really cool. But if somebody knows what it's called, I know that somebody's gonna say it, and I'm gonna be like, really? I should remember that. But if somebody, has like the name of that would be great. Luciano said deleted fonts, that feeling of your heart beating at like 200 BPM and the deadline exploding. Yeah,
yep.
I know that feeling for sure. You also have like a really cool eye for like, can I throw a paragraph of text over the top of an entire photo? But I would not have that any other way. You know what I mean? Like, I love it.
Well, and you know what's funny is what gets in the way for me. So what I did for this is I went into, I like want text. I want to mix it with graphics. I want to mix it with photos, but I don't know what to say. I don't know. I'm not a poet. I'm not a writer. So you know what I did for this, for these, is I went over to GPT and I had it write me a limerick about Portland.
Yes!
And then I copied and pasted it over this photo.
I love it. I think you could also, it would be cool too if it was like, because I think you can use like the dynamic thing too, and you could make yourself like a frame out of letters and put it directly behind too, which could be, I mean, like don't change it. But I was thinking that could be interesting too if, yeah, and it was like, and if there you hit the dynamic button, then it's almost like it makes like its own little like framey frame thing.
Oh my God, you're right. Okay, wait, can I change? Okay, let's see. Let's just sort of see what this looks like. That like
That's like really cool.
fully turns it, and that's what's really cool. I mean, I don't know. This is the thing that I love about design is like you can have fun with it. It becomes a pattern, but it also like means something and says something.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just like this hidden element. Oh, I like that. I wonder, and then if we like, maybe we could play with the opacity a little bit.
Yeah, that's super fun.
That's
Feel
really
free to, you know, do your vision on it. I just thought it could be something fun to experiment with. But yeah, I think that like this is like really giving me the idea that to use fonts as a design element rather than, because I'm only really seeing them as somebody who like I'm painting most of the time. You know, like I'm illustrating most of the time, and I don't ever use fonts unless I have to do something for social media. I use fonts in Express when I'm, you know, making posts for Instagram or, you know, whatever. And I use fonts in Photoshop as well if I'm doing like client work. But typically my own personal work does not usually involve me needing a great font where I, you know, so I would say my experience with fonts is very small. So this is like kind of cool. I feel like I'm seeing them in a completely new way for different purposes, which is awesome.
Yeah, they're just, I think fonts are like sometimes overlooked as a really fun opportunity to like add some character and personality to design or to like any kind of visuals.
I just want you to know that chat has started calling Roxanne Aunt Roxy.
Oh my gosh.
Like Alessandra's like Aunt Roxanne.
Oh.
So this is like
I love that.
Roxanne, are you chat aunt? Are you everybody's aunt?
I think
Can
she
you be
is.
everyone's aunt?
God, can we like get her a moderator position and she
'Cause
can just
I
like
would-
pop in there?
Yeah,
and
like,
just-
hi, Aunt
Hi,
Roxy's
everyone.
here. Aunt Roxy is just like a dope title though. Like that's just a good
It is.
good title.
She's
for
a great
sure.
aunt.
Yeah.
We love Aunt Roxy. So something that I think we've got a lot of red here, or it's sort of this like orangey red. So something that I'm gonna sort of play around with and experiment with is introducing some different colors in. And one way to do this, and let's see if this works, I think that we can get this to work, is I'm going to go over into Illustrator. I'm going to double click on the file in my library. I think you see where I'm going with this.
You just shoulder.
I think you know.
I do.
And this is a grouped element, so I'm going to take the background and I'm going to
I love that blue. I do like that blue for it.
just a nice bold, and I'm going to save it. And
Ooh.
because I saved it, it then changed it in my library. And the important distinction is I'm not saving it, it's sort of in my original full source file. I double clicked it and it opened up essentially this linked file.
Nice.
Changed it, saved it, now it's updated.
Which is like, you know, using smart objects in Photoshop a little bit.
Yes. And so now you can see that over here in my personal brand, that number has changed, and I get this little message at the bottom, your linked assets have changed. I get the option to update it, and I can hit update, and updated successfully. Boom. Now it's
Nice.
blue.
I like that blue with the audio wave forms, like on that up above Pioneer DJ, which is like right there. Ta-da.
Oh, you're right. It's a nice, like, sort of tie-in.
Yeah, like I
Okay.
feel like that's really, really kind of cool.
So I think that this feels like a good, I'm gonna just sort of like make this change across the board.
Yeah.
Although I need to see what color this is. It's essentially, I'm like being a little bit lazy, but it's very close to the color in my brand guide.
But that's, I mean, I feel like if there's a little variation, it kind of lends itself to that vibe, right? Because those waveforms and the images, there's a lot of, like, it all looks like vintage, like aged photos, which I think is synonymous with like color bleeds and textures and things. So if you have like slight variations in some of the colors that you're using, I think it'll just look intentional.
Yeah.
Rather than, you know.
It's nice. It's like that analog style gives us some wiggle room. Which is like great for me who can be a lazy designer when I'm designing for myself. I'm like, oh, you know what? Little wiggle room. It's always good to have because I want to move fast.
I've always wanted to do like a photo shoot like in that sort of like style, like the way that you have all the images. And I don't know if you, when you shoot the photos that you have, is that something that you apply afterwards to give them that look, or is that just like using the film?
Just the film.
That's amazing.
It comes out exactly like that with film. That's kind of what I love about film is it's like instant aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like no filters, no editing. I do definitely go through and edit. So I just went through and changed all of these. So we're gonna see that they were all updated within my cloud library. If I go back to Express, boom. So now I'm just gonna hit update and I'm thinking, whoa, look at, it's just updating all of them.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So now I can go through and all of those little numbers are changed, which I think is awesome. Oh my God, Alessandra says I already have about 10 ants anyway. I don't mind another.
Yeah, Roxanne, you're being adopted.
I know.
You're being adopted by everybody in the chat.
I don't know how I feel about this, honestly. I'm like, I don't want to share.
If you didn't want us to love her, you shouldn't have brought her here.
I know. Oh no, it's my fault. Now I need to share.
Gives me the vibes of those typewriter times. In my art school, we had one, but I didn't get to use it. Well, you can with the power of fonts in Adobe Express, Alessandra. You can do whatever you want with fonts in there.
You can do whatever you want. Okay, so we've got our little updated graphics. We've got, I think that I want to make sure that this is consistent all the way across at the bottom. So what's cool about this and what I like about this in Express is it recognizes that I'm working on different sort of like artboards, I guess is what they're called. Pages.
Pages, yeah.
And so if I copy an element and I paste it onto a different page, it pastes into the exact same spot.
Yeah, in the same place. That makes it so easy to try and create like a nice cohesive vibe, especially if you're doing designs where things swipe and kind of continue.
Yep.
So at least they're aligned, and it makes it really easy.
Yeah, I don't need to worry about like making sure it's in exactly the right spot, aligning with other elements that like ensures that I have consistent margins and just like everything is exactly where it should be.
Yeah.
Oops, I'll just move this over here.
Amaze.
Oh, I do need to update this other limerick. I wrote it, I had the ChatGPT write a couple of limericks. So we're just adding some new type in here. I don't know, I'm thinking we might just like, and again, we're not like being super strict with the brand right now because I make the rules.
Yeah,
and
you are the master of this realm.
We're having fun, thank you.
Yeah.
So don't come for me in the chat about not having strict brand rules.
I don't think you have to worry about the chat. I think the chat loves your aunt and your Instagram account. I think that's what chat has decided about
Thanks,
today.
Chat.
Yeah.
Thanks for being there for me, here for me.
This is like mega support.
Okay, so I think, should we, I mean, maybe we should just like add a couple more of our flashes.
Yeah, and we do have like maybe, I would say, 12 minutes.
Okay.
So we also could, you know, kind of start to do some interesting things with the stuff. I just don't want you to feel like you're crunching on time at the end there if you want to do that.
Great idea. So I think we've got a great carousel here. We've got sort of all the elements that we want in there. You've got fun with typography. I'm going to go back to my stuff. And because I want to save this as an Instagram carousel, but I also would love to make a reel or a story or something with a little bit of motion, I am going to duplicate this project.
Yes, that is an excellent, excellent idea. And I typically have like my project, and then I have the animated version of that project, and then I have like various sizes, and I mean, I suppose that you could like do something where you know, you just have different sizes and stuff in the various pages, I guess,
Yeah.
but I prefer to have it separate myself for how my brain works.
Yep.
So I'm the same way.
Yeah, totally. Well, and then I would have to like go through, like I can't just like mass export it, or I'd have to separate the files. So what I'm doing here is I just went up to resize over here, and this is great. One of the great features about Express is that it's got all of these like sort of like pre-canned sizes in here, so you don't need to even think about.
Yeah.
But Instagram story is I think what I'm going to do, and I'm gonna just hit resize. And because I have the background color set, all I really need to do is worry about like moving my elements around a little bit. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna just go through and resize each of these.
Beautiful.
And then we can start playing around with some motion. And I'm actually loving the way that these layouts look with a little bit more breathing room.
Yeah, honestly, it's not bad, and I think it just gives you more space to put new stuff, and I don't really feel like you need to spread them out and
Yeah.
make it like reformed for the story size.
It's funny, I'm not sure why this is like going super big and tall.
What is that exactly? Like the little, that large thing?
Oh, it's the tiny. It's
Is it?
Where are you? It's that fun sort of like spotted text,
Yeah.
which I lost it for some reason, so I'll make sure to add it back. So these little like, I have been kind of using these as page indicators to show like which carousel slide you're in, so I'm gonna move.
That's brilliant.
Thanks.
I love that.
Yeah, like each one like goes, oh, well, they're hidden here, but I'm gonna move that up. I'm gonna move these a little bit. Give this photography a little bit more breathing room, and maybe a little bit bigger.
Love it.
I don't know if I want to keep that, but maybe I will. Hey. Okay.
Yeah, this is really, really cool. I love that the little flash is just kind of glancing off the side of both of them right there. Like, just like that's a little perfect place for it. I'm digging it.
Okay, so we've
very
kind of got
nice.
it like laid out. So I think we were playing around with the animation on this flash. So let's start with that. Animation. Let's do an in. I kind of liked that flicker, but maybe turn down the intensity and bring out the duration.
I wonder what it would look like with like an overlapping color or something. Like, it's
Maybe
up
like
to
the
you,
blue?
but yeah, like the blue. And it's like if you put them over each other and then like turned them slightly, then it would be like, you know. I wonder if you honestly, you could probably make one of them move and one of them not.
Yeah.
Like they could both flicker, but you
Let's
could
see how
also
it
do, yeah.
Okay. Gonna add the graphic into my library. Okay, so now I have a blue flash in my library. Gonna go to my stuff. Brands and libraries. Blue flash.
Love it.
Boop. Do you think I should put a blend mode on this one too?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, it turns.
I guess it turns, but if it rotated, then it would probably just look like the palette that you've been going with. But
So let me add an animation to this. Let's do in spin.
yeah, that could be cool. Spin or pop could be cool because it'll just like add a little bit more personality to like it flashing in first, unless you want it to like drop it, because I kind of like that. Like it's like it looks like a camera flash to me.
Okay, now I'm going to, let's just like, interesting.
Yeah.
It's subtle.
Yeah. And then, yeah, if they move in a way where they're not covering each other 100%, then you start to like get little glimpses of their colors separate from each other, which could be interesting. But
I wonder what this one would look like with the...
oh yeah, just like kind of roll it in, or ooh,
Flicker's interesting.
it is.
I'm not sure if I love, because it introduces this new pink in there.
Yeah, I wonder if one of them is not on a blending one. Oh, I like that though. Like over the black, honestly, the blue over the black is really cool.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have these words animate in. In.
Nice.
Drift. Drop. Fade. See, this is where I become undecisive.
I think that the rise, but coming from the bottom, could be cool. Because yeah, or coming in from the left. Yeah, coming down would be cool, or like going in.
Let's do
I kind
that.
of like it because it's like soft, you know. And then film, honestly, film could come up from behind the larger photo, if you want it to.
And film comes up.
Yeah, it might need to be like behind the. I can't remember what your layers looked like. But I mean, honestly, dropping down is fine too, because that also like just drops right into place. Oh, and it doesn't. It's quick, so it doesn't need to be behind anything really. Just kind of throws itself in there.
Summer. On.
Boom.
Where does film come in?
Oh, I love it. So a nice little stagger. Summer. Yes.
Ooh, that's cute.
Let's see it.
Could
I
be
love that.
a little faster, but like I love the way that all kind of like.
I'm feeling it though. Like I feel like it all like summer comes in, and as soon as it cruises, then it's like summer on film.
Summer
You know.
on film.
I love that.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. We are coming up on the end of our show here, however, which seems like totally crazy.
I know.
I can't
I feel
believe
like the
that
time
we've
just
been
flew
hanging
by.
out this long. But this is such a great project, Cory, and I just, you know that I adore you and your work. But I feel like you've just shared so many like really inspiring concepts and things with everybody today. I definitely am going to spend some time experimenting with new fonts for sure, with how I'm using brands in Adobe Express. I'm also going to be playing around with templates now for sure.
Yep.
And I think that all of you should give Cory a follow on Instagram and let him know what you're going to be experimenting with in Express as well.
Yes, I would love to hear from any and all of you. It's been so fun. I'm like really excited about this carousel now, and I kind of want to like blow out the Instagram story with the animation. Y'all inspired me today with all the different animation pieces you guys were doing.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely a newer thing for me with Express. And so, now that I kind of like have this extra knowledge, I'm excited to play around with.
Oh yeah,
like,
absolutely.
how you can expand things out.
It's kind of like, because I don't know if you jump into After Effects or anything like that.
I do.
Do you really?
Yep.
I seldomly.
Yeah.
Because I'm overwhelmed there, where some people are, Photoshop's my bread and butter, and some people are overwhelmed in Photoshop, but this gives me the opportunity to like be the animation girl.
Yep.
Like all I need really is the Photoshop timeline and animation in Fresco. That's what I need.
And I think that's what's kind of wild is it's like for me, I do almost exclusively After Effects. And so
Really?
like having
Okay.
the ability to do this so easy and quickly in Express is like kind of blowing my mind a little bit because I'm like, oh wait, I don't have to spend hours and hours animating a reel or like putting typography, like coming over photography and all these elements in After Effects.
Just boom.
Yep,
That's
super
awesome.
easy.
So that's cool, you know, because I feel like that's, you know, impressed from opposite ends of the board here then, you know. But yeah, really, really great. That is all the time that we have for today. Unfortunately, we have to take off, but it has been a blast. Cory, thank you so much for
Thank you
spending
so
time.
much. I look forward to tomorrow, where we will
Yes!
also be doing more live streaming.
We're going to be hanging out. Tomorrow it's going to be a jam-packed day full of awesome features with generative AI and the like. But thank you guys so much for joining. Definitely give Cory a follow and stay tuned for Brand Slam with the Office Hours crew, Nick and Andrew.